We're heading into fall, and that means it's time to celebrate root vegetable soup. It's one of my favorite comfort foods. I love it. It's so creamy and sweet and delicious. You're gonna love it too. What ingredients do you need to make root vegetable soup? It's simple. Whatever variety of root vegetables and squashes that you have on hand. Here I've got an assortment of some red onion, a little bit of carrots, sweet potatoes, or you could use yams. This is a little white onion. This is a parsnip. And you can even add fruit like pears or apples for a little sweetness. And then I have a delicious winter squash. This is a red kabocha. Look at that beauty. Of course, you'll need some good quality sea salt. And then a big old batch of homemade vegetable broth. Or you can use store-bought. So we're going to peel everything. First our carrots. When you're peeling any vegetable, peeling onto a sheet of parchment paper will make cleanup a lot simpler. Next we're going to peel our sweet potatoes. To prepare a parsnip, you always want to peel this bitter outer skin. The flesh itself is super sweet, but if you try to skip the peeling step and use the skin, you're in for something really bitter. So always be sure to remove parsnip skin. You're probably wondering, how do I cut into this thing? Winter squash cutting can be intimidating at first, but basically you just want to trim off the hard stem, always working with a good sharp knife. Trim off that little nub on the bottom. And make it easy on yourself and just wash the skin really well so that you don't have to remove it. Because if you do need to remove it, this is basically how you would do it. You would just use your knife rather than a peeler to shave it off. But I find that it really softens up in the dish and it's really not necessary to remove the skin. So I often just remove any little bumps or blemishes like that and use the rest. Okay, so now we want to have our squash securely flat here. You don't want to cut it like this because that's a wobbly, unstable, and unsafe way to cut it. So we're just laying it flat like that. We're going to cut through the middle. This is where brick strength comes in handy. And inside you'll see that you've got some lovely little seeds there, which you can save and actually dry them and plant them next year in your garden if you like. Or some people actually dry them and eat them as a snack. You can roast them with a little sea salt. We are going to scoop them out with a big spoon. This part isn't pretty. There's no easy way to do this. You basically just have to scrape and scrape until you get it all out of there. And then repeat this for the other side. Wash your hands well after the peeling the squash so that your fingers aren't slippery. And then again, we're going to lay this flat side down. Get all those little sticky seeds off your knife edge. And we're just going to cut this into big chunks. We're using this for soup or if you're making stew out of it. So the pieces do not need to be small. So it can be about 1 inch by 1 inch or even bigger. Just remember to lay your pieces flat so you're not having to deal with any wobbly, unstable edges. And there we go, and we just repeat that on the other side. So we've peeled all of our vegetables. We're going to go ahead and trim up the ends and chop them. I find it easier to chop from the smaller end up towards the thicker part of the carrot so that you've got more to hold on to stability-wise. Let's cut up our sweet potato. Chopping up my little piece of red onion. This was kind of the end of a red onion that I had around in my fridge. Just going to remove that end, save for soup stock, and chop this into big chunks. We'll do the same with the white onion. Some sometimes as I'm chopping all the vegetables, I'll go ahead and get the onion sauteing. So in a large soup pot, I'm going to add about a generous tablespoon or two of olive oil. If you want to use vegetable broth to keep it fat-free, you can do that. Then I'm going to add my onion. I'll add a few shakes of sea salt to help soften the onion and bring the water to the surface. And we'll just let those soften for about 5 to 10 minutes while we're cutting the remainder of our vegetables. Let's chop up our parsnips. Parsnips are a very dense root vegetable. Just so you know, it takes a little bit of fortitude to get through it. Okay, so you can do it one of several ways. I'm going to cut it into rounds since we're not going for a perfectly square shape as it's going into soup. We'll just cut these into big chunks. We've got a really nice caramelization going over here on our onions. Let's go ahead and add the remainder of our vegetables. So in goes the squash, carrots, parsnips, and sweet potato. So that was 1 large parsnip, 4 carrots, 1 sweet potato, and I'd say 1/2 of 2 onions. Actually a little less than half, it's more like 1/3 of a red onion and a yellow onion. Now we're going to add vegetable broth to cover everything. For this amount of vegetables, you'll just have to gauge it to whatever texture you'd like it, if you'd like it more thin or a little thicker. I just added about 6 cups. Let's go ahead and increase our heat. Get a good boil going there. Now that we have a robust boil going, we're going to go ahead and cover it. Reduce the flame to low and simmer for 30 minutes. Okay, our timer for the soup went off, so I'm going to go ahead and season it with some sea salt. I'm going to add a generous teaspoon to begin with, and then we can taste it from there. And I'm going to take my good old Cuisinart immersion blender and pop that right in there and blend away. So there we go. I made mine super smooth the way I like it. If you want to keep some texture, feel free to do that. Okay, after some tasting, I added maybe another ½ teaspoon to a teaspoon more of salt. And I'm also going to, for fun, just add a little bit of ground nutmeg. We'll shake here. That's probably about 1/8 of a teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon. And a little fresh ground organic black pepper. Why not? Now that is a pot full of a whole lot of yumminess. Oh my gosh. Stir those little spices through. On a chilly autumn day, nothing tops this. So this soup couldn't have turned out better. It's the perfect combination of sweet, creamy, a little spice from the nutmeg, and I set it off nicely with the garnish of parsley. I'm sure you're gonna love this soup, so be sure to try it and let me know how you like it. Subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up for this video, and be sure to share it with a friend, and enjoy your soup making. Subscribe to our channel. Be sure to share it with a friend. I'm giving you a lot of stuff to do. When I carry around my mugs of soup, I've been known to get a soup mustache.